We're Nestor with TennesseeLandAndHomestore.com. Today we're going to talk about two things that we've not talked about yet with the property I have for sale at 425 Ashe Cabin Hollow Road in Harriman, Tennessee. This property has 7.75 acres attached, little to no restrictions, and zoning has confirmed in writing that you are allowed to attempt up to 2 homes per acre. So at maximum, around 14 or 15 structures in total might be attempted following a permitting process. So there's already a home there. It's approximately 2,088 square feet. And today we're going to talk about the newly painted roof, and we're going to talk about deer and wildlife on the property. I'm also going to show you a quick clip of some deer that were sighted on the property recently. Those clips were sent over to me by the seller, the property owner on this property. And hopefully I will get out there and get some more HD footage of the deer out there on the property. I'll be heading back out there to do some more drone footage now that the roof is painted, and probably at a different time of day. So I'm excited about capturing those wildlife videos. In my other tours of the property videos that I've made, I have noticed some very prominent and high traffic deer trails. And in one of the videos did a close-up on some of those deer tracks within that trail. But you can tell that the deer are coming through in certain spots on a regular basis daily. I've spent a lot of years hunting and tracking deer, so I'm very familiar with those patterns and those paths and those markings and other signs and signals you can see on trees and things. I think I also saw some deer rubs on a tree out there last time I was out there, but just noticed it and was not in the middle of making a video. But anyway, you've got some great acreage that is part of this property for sale, but you also have these huge chunks huge chunks of acreage, vast acreage that wrap around this property, which are very heavily wooded as well. So it's really encouraging that deer habitat. So if you're a wildlife lover, if you like watching the deer, if you like eating deer, this is the great opportunity property for you. Deer meat is extremely high in protein and extremely high in iron. It is very nutrient dense. It's one of the healthiest meats in the world. A lot of people don't know that. So let's take a look at some more of these images. Okay, so this is the roof before we had it painted. So you can kind of see the roof here. It's kind of like a silver metallic kind of a color. This is a metal roof on top of a shingle roof. Today, while I'm making this video, by the way, it is July 30th. July 30th, and the roof was painted yesterday, July 29th. And here's one of the progress pictures from yesterday while they were getting it painted. They were climbing all over that roof. Oh my gosh, it was so hot yesterday. I really feel for anybody that works in roofing of any sort. That is the level of toughness and your just natural genetic ability to handle the heat. I don't know what you folks are made out of, but it is not what I'm made out of. So God bless everyone who contributed to this project yesterday. And this is the final result, and it looks very pretty. You can tell this image was taken as the sun was setting in front of the home. When the sun sets this time of year, it goes almost directly in front of this home. If you stand on the front porch and you point straight forward, you will be pointing at the sun as it sets. And it just puts this beautiful golden glow on the front of the home that time of day. So pretty. I love that tone of red that they used. I think it matches the porches pretty well, but it just looks so beautiful and so vibrant year-round. I really like it. It's very pretty. You might also notice it brings out some of the red hues in the patterned brick, and I think that's a pretty touch as well. And especially with fall coming up, with all the yellows and golds and oranges and reds that are going to start popping out in the trees, it's going to look really, really, really pretty. So I've got this little mini clip on repeat. It's a little bit blurry, but you can see a mama deer and a baby deer passing through the yard. Imagine that you are standing on the front porch and you are looking off to the right at your gravel driveway. They are walking alongside that driveway. When you walk the length of the gravel driveway, let's say you're on the front porch of the house and you walk over to the gravel drive and you're walking down the driveway towards the road frontage, the paved road frontage. If you look up into the tree line to the right as you're making that walk in the direction I described, you will see what looks like almost like someone took a rake and dragged it out of the tree line down towards the gravel, such that it's opening up the plants slightly and exposing a little more dirt and removing a bit of grass. And that is a very high traffic area where the deer are frequently passing through that tree line and coming out or going back up in again. Deer will typically move in very repetitive paths and patterns at the same times every day. And then over the course of the year, as the seasons change and the time that the sun rises and the time the sun sets changes, the time of day where they move across those patterns will kind of tighten into that window of daylight. There's certain times a day they like to be in one spot on the earth, and there's certain times a day they like to be in another spot on the earth. Their little travel patterns kind of revolve around these things. They also change a bit as their food sources change throughout the course of the year. So the things that a deer has available to eat are going to be different at different times of year, right? Because certain trees are dropping walnuts and then the walnuts are ripening on the ground, so on and so forth. So as the plant life changes, the deer's patterns can also change for that as well. They have areas where they bed down, they have areas where they go look for food, they have areas where they just do their traveling for the day. They have areas where they go to water sources. If you were to purchase a property like this with this acreage, some things you might do to try and encourage the deer to hang out in your backyard, if you just enjoy watching them and you're a novice and you don't know much about deer, you can go to Walmart and look for a section where they have these blocks that are shaped kind of like big bricks. They have all these different flavors, but these are mineral blocks or salt blocks, and then they have like acorn and apple and all these different things. These blocks are pretty cheap. They range from about $6 to maybe about $12. They have small ones, they have big ones. Personally, what I would do is I would get small ones of every single flavor, put them near the tree line, just all around the whole perimeter, and you're gonna have so many deer, as long as you're not shooting them over a feed source or a salt lick source. You want to check with TWRA. This advice is to help you to observe the deer and enjoy the beauty of looking at the deer. But if you're going to consider hunting on this property, if you buy it, then you have the legal right to hunt. This is zoned county. It is not zoned city. Make sure that you're mindful of your property lines. If you're using a crossbow, where is your ammo going to land? If you're using a gun, where is your ammo going to land? But because of the topography, the way it gently rolls up at the back and at the back right, it would be very easy to harvest a deer in your backyard. With proper angling and target practice, you could ensure that if you were to miss the deer, that your arrow or your ammo would land in the hill and could not travel past your property into someone else's property. So we haven't spent much time yet talking about the hunting opportunities that this property provides, but it absolutely does. And deer are just so deer meat is so healthy for you. It is so good for you. Personally, another thing I'll say, if I bought this property, considering it's 7.75 acres and it's surrounded by some really big acreage tracts with a lot of forest and also a lot of water sources around this area, creeks, streams, very abundant in this area surrounding. There's the creek along the front of this property, which might be where these deer are headed right now to go get a drink of water. But I personally would probably get a 10-point brand crossbow, and with the anchor assist, and I would probably use that consistently, rather than using a gun, just because I love the way that for a close range shot in a backyard, you can use a bow, an arrow, or a 10-point setup, and it's quiet. It's totally silent, so it's not drawing attention to yourself, and it doesn't, the deer don't notice the sound. So if you have, say, maybe you observe for, maybe you decide you're going to observe the deer population that are interacting with your property for a couple of years, right? And after you observe them, you notice, okay, we have a ton of does, not noticing very many bucks. Occasionally there's a really large doe that's coming in. You feel like the population is strong. You might decide that once every 2 years you take one of the really big does for meat. I'm not really super big into trophy deer hunting, like for the sake of like the antlers and stuff, but if you notice that there was an abundance of bucks, really big bucks, you know, then you might go, I'm comfortable taking one of them. But I always lean towards taking a doe, and that's if the large doe portion of the population seems very abundant. You also want to look for signs that they're pregnant. Make sure you're not taking a doe that could be pregnant or that looks like she's pregnant. But anyway, that's just some side notes there on hunting. There's another clip I'm going to play really quickly here. I will be right back while I snag that clip. So here is another clip that the property owner sent me. It's very brief, but you can see how they're kind of hanging out by that tree line beside the gravel drive. So I would definitely say we should maybe consider putting a sign in by the entry point of the driveway while people are coming out here to visit the property that says watch for deer. They're spending a lot of time around this driveway, but they're pretty quick to move. They're going to hear the vehicle and see it, like, you know, they're going to see it and hear it as it starts to pull into the gravel and hopefully, you know, skedaddle. While this clip is playing on repeat, I'm going to talk a little bit more about deer and hunting. A lot of people don't understand the way that Tennessee wildlife management areas work and the way that hunting laws work in Tennessee. So I thought I'd talk about that for a minute. First of all, if you'd like to read about hunting regulations in Tennessee, there is a website, an official website called eregulations.com. The letter E, the word regulations, and then .com. Once you get to that website, you're going to see a state selection drop-down menu. You're going to select Tennessee, and then you're going to get to a hunting and fishing magazine that's in the format of a PDF file, and you're going to download that file. And you can browse through that. If you want a hard copy, you could ask to have one mailed to you. You can also go to your local Walmart, go to the hunting and fishing gear department, and they usually have stacks of them out on the counter, or you could ask for one. Sometimes they keep them behind the counter. If you go to a local gun shop, they're going to usually have a stack of them near the entrance of the gun shop, or maybe at or behind the service counter. So this is going to answer every question you could ever fathom about hunting and fishing in Tennessee. They recently combined these two magazines into one magazine. They used to be two completely separate magazines. I really love that they've combined them. I think that's so smart for so many reasons. But I think that people who are really into fishing, it kind of encourages them to learn more about hunting, and people that are into hunting, it encourages them to learn more about fishing. So I just think this was just so smart that they combined these. It also just makes it much more simple for the outdoorsman or outdoorswoman, because you don't have to carry around two magazines. You can just carry around one as a point of reference. One of the great things that I love that's in this magazine is there's a section that has all the contact information for the people who handle different regions and different zones. And it's a diagram style. So it's very easy to figure out what is your region, what is your zone, and who are the contact people that you can reach out to. So you can learn about what the rules are, make sure you're not breaking any rules. And the rules for everything are in the magazine. There's a lot of information there. Every year, I usually read this magazine cover to cover 2 or 3 times. I'm not exaggerating. The new magazine, I got it this year. I've not read it yet. It's been a very busy year with multiple small businesses that I run. But what I love about this magazine is that, you go and you look for your questions and your answers. But if the way that it's worded leaves some questions in your mind, or you're not quite sure how to interpret some aspect of the wording, you can call the people that run that region and run that zone, and they are so happy to answer your questions. And they're just absolutely wonderful. I cannot tell you how many times I have called to ask them questions, and they have just clarified things or been so incredibly kind and helpful. So super great bunch of people, really, really wonderful. Don't be afraid to ask questions. They're awesome. I'm going to pause this for a second and just think if there's anything else I want to add to this video. Let's shift gears back to the freshly painted roof and talk about the house a little bit more. Excuse me. Always with a touch of allergies in the morning. That's just like me. Anyway, the seller is open to offers that have contingencies built into the offer for things like maybe you want to have the home inspected, maybe you want to have some aspect of the home inspected, maybe you want to have something analyzed, whatever. The seller is so wonderful. Been such a great person to work for. He is just so reasonable, probably more reasonable than anyone else I've ever done a consultation for, in regards to just being open to lots of different things being in an offer. One thing that I've come across a lot over the past, I don't know, I think it's been listed for, we started the listing in July, so we're approaching the end of July, so it's been less than a month. There have been a lot of people who have gone out to the property. There have been a lot of people who've gone out to the property with their agent, and their agent didn't seem to have a conversation with them about how they were going to pay for the property. And some of these folks had loans. Some of these folks had loans such that they were loan types that have restrictions within them. So what do I mean by that? Let's talk about that for a second. So right now, because of the way the economy is, because of the way inflation and the cost of living is, there's a lot of lending companies that offer maybe not very many loan products. And so they're doing big advertising for these specific types of loan products, because in their mind, they're thinking, well, this product is going to fill a need that people have, right? And so they're putting a lot of money into advertising that they offer these loan products. The loan products I'm seeing a lot of advertising for, one is called VA, okay? Another one is called USDA, and there's others, but these are no down payment loan products, okay? The problem with a lot of these no down payment loan products is that most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, they will not encapsulate finish work. and the interior of the home is in a certain stage of almost being completed from major beautification and renovation. So if someone was to buy the property, the loan type product that they're going to have to use must be such that it's going to allow for the finish work, and it can't be highly restrictive. Not all, but some of the VA and USDA loan products are highly restrictive, such that it won't let you buy this house or this acreage. Some of them will put limits on acreage. Some of them will say you can't buy anything bigger than 5 acres. Well, this is 7.75 acres. So why would an agent bring their client to look at a house that they're not going to be allowed to buy the property because it exceeds the acreage limit restriction on the loan? Again, if the loan product limits the client to only being able to buy a home that's totally finished inside, then you're not going to be able to buy this home. Why would you bring your client to look at this property? It doesn't make any sense, right? So sometimes this happens because the agent has not been provided the pre-approval document from their client. The agent maybe has assumed that their client has a product that's going to meet this criteria. They've not had a conversation about it. Sometimes this happens because the client is literally pre-approved for a product that is full of restrictions about what they can and cannot buy, and they don't even know that. The person that's done the pre-approval for them, that is the mortgage loan originator, has not informed them of any of those factors. So this is a part of the mortgage lending situation nationwide that really frustrates me and disappoints me, because I feel like when you impose restrictions on what a person can buy, you're hindering them, right? And if those restrictions are okay with them, well, no big deal. If they're fully informed in the front end, well, then no big deal. If they're sent a email with a document attached or a file attached in a PDF style format that lists in detail those restrictions, and they've been fully informed, then no big deal. But if they have not been fully informed and the mortgage loan originator is just wasting their time, and they're going out and looking at properties that they will never be able to buy unless they switch products, unless they switch mortgage loan originators, it's just not fair to people to treat them that way. So, okay, I had to pause the recording a second so I could take a call that was coming in. But the point I was getting around to working at is, if you are wanting to buy this property and you can't pay cash for it, then you need to get pre-approved for a loan type, maybe with a company called Cardinal Financial, maybe with one of the larger companies that is on the THDA list. Not because of THDA would be the loan type you would use here, but because the companies on the THDA lenders list, some of them are really large companies that have really large menus of loan products. So if you get pre-approved for something that would allow you to buy something that needs finish work, then the way it works is that loan product says this. It says, here's the purchase price for the home as is. Here's the money that you're going to need to do the finish work. We're packaging that all together in one big loan amount, you see. So, and then it's going to tell you things like what your down payment would need to be, etc. And I would also say, find a loan with a fixed rate. Find a loan with a fixed rate, because variable rate mortgages have been the hindrance and the harm of countless people. If you have a fixed rate, you know exactly what to expect. Everything stays the same. And then if you are in a position to seek out a, Seek out a, what is the word I'm looking for? A refinance with a new rate, a new fixed rate locked in, then seek that out by all means. But one of the problems I've seen people get into over the years is they get a variable rate mortgage, and what happens? The rate goes up, and they try to refinance when it finally goes back down, or with some other company, and they can't get anyone to work with them. So don't find yourself in that situation. I'm a big believer in fixed rates. Get something fixed rate, And then if you want to get fixed at a different rate, then get fixed at a lower rate. But things have been trending with higher rates, and the last thing you want is for it to get even higher than it already is. So, because that also can increase your monthly payment. So just be very careful with things like that. Again, I am not a mortgage loan originator. I'm just telling you about experiences that my other clients have had. I did coursework to become a mortgage loan originator, but I never completed my licensing process. So technically, I'm not qualified to advise anybody on this, but I am allowed to share with you real world experiences that I've witnessed my clients and folks I've done consulting for go through. So checking out loan products that would allow you to encapsulate the finish work cost, these are typically going to be called in the realm of conventional. What does this mean? It means that there's more freedom in what you're allowed to buy. Who wants to be restricted in how many acres they're allowed to buy attached to their house? Right? That acreage is development opportunity oftentimes. It's privacy. It makes the property more unique. It's giving the property a quality that is rarer and rarer to find. It's more valuable. That property is going to hold value, in my opinion, arguably better than other properties will during hard times, because not every house has 7.75 acres attached to it with development potential. Not every house has 7.75 acres attached to it with privacy. You know, not every house is zoned to county with 7.75 acres of freedom attached to it. So, and then also this property being very close to the lake, to the northern portion of the Watts Bar Lake region, it's just a 3 or 4 minute drive. So, this is a great property for many reasons. If you'd like to learn more, my number is 865-617-4783. There, I've got that informative image pulled back up for you here. You can see my number, 865-617-4783. Text or call anytime. If you call and I miss your call, please be certain that you send a detailed text message. I check my text messages several times a day typically. If I'm ever gone for a day or I'm not going to be easy to reach on a particular day, usually I'll customize my voicemail message for that day to let you know what to expect. But thanks for coming back to my channel. I hope you learned something new about this property, 425 Ashe Cabin Hollow Road in Harriman. You can also check out photo galleries and detailed specifications by going to realtor.com or zillow.com. Or just reaching out to me directly. I'm here to answer every question you could possibly have. I'd love to write up your offer for you. So have a great day and see you next time.